Good afternoon, Wedding Film School. How's it going, guys? Welcome to WFS Live. Happy Thursday to everyone who's tuning in. We have another great episode. Hope you guys get your money's worth today. We are going to be reviewing 3 wedding films this afternoon. Wedding Film School, by the way, to my knowledge, and maybe someone can tell me if I'm wrong, is the only weekly wedding film critique channel on planet Earth. You're here, you're tuning in, welcome. I want to go through just a couple quick housekeeping items before we really hop into the show and get Jason on here. Number 1 is, if you're a wedding filmmaker and you would like to submit, make sure you're doing so on our website, weddingfilm.school. That's where you're going to want to go. There's a tab at the top called, I think it's live review or review your film, something like that at the top. You'll be able to figure it out. Go there, and that's the way that you can submit your own film. Want to just remind you that these films have to be 5 minutes long. We cut them off at around 5 minutes, so make sure that they are in that kind of realm, as well as all the music in your film has to be licensed. So make sure that you're doing that as well, that you're sending us the information so that we can be able to just simply play it here on YouTube without it getting taken down. I think that's it as far as housekeeping items in. Jason McCutcheon is here with me, the wedding film executioner.
What's up,
Jay,
guys?
what's up, dude?
just excited about on here. I'm a little sick today, so I apologize for the slightly weaker vocals. But, I'm excited to be here, Jared, doing live film critiques with you. You've had a crazy week.
Yeah, crazy week. About a week now. My wife had to go into, not emergency surgery, but she had surgery
Unplanned.
this week. Unplanned surgery. And when you have a 2-year-old and you're in the middle of wedding season, things can get a little crazy. So it's just been a whirl. But we're here. Everything's taken care of. Everything is great. I have a softball tournament this weekend, and I'm just preparing for that mentally. This is like the first weekend.
Forget about wedding filmmaking. Let's talk about playing on church softball teams.
Church softball team. It's pretty important to one's well-being.
Yes.
It's probably the only physical activity I get in these days. It's like running around the bases once every single game. So nothing makes you feel more out of shape than playing softball.
Oh, I just love it when people talk about wedding filmmaking. They're like, oh, I get plenty of exercise. I'm a wedding filmmaker. And I'm getting fat like crazy. So
literally ordered Domino's this afternoon. It's great. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Here we are editing. I think it goes either one way or the other. The people that, probably don't have as much work are probably very fit.
Oh, yeah. That's what I think. I think once you have a job, you just get fat. Like, unless you put a ton of time into not being fat. Pretty much my job could be not becoming fat. You
know what's great about this new studio, Jay, is I have no idea what the weather is on any given day because we don't have any windows in here.
I actually do like that.
Yeah, well, me too. It kind of creates a sense of like, this is just, we're literally in a cave and we get work done in the cave. And I enjoy that. I think that's great.
Yeah, I agree too. So, I always like to give people a heads up in terms of kind of how we do this, Jared, and just reminding people when we're reviewing films on Wedding Film School Live, our goal is to kind of give you guys critique as if we are wedding filmmakers and also maybe your prospective clients. We're not saying your clients don't love the film, right, Jared?
Yeah, not saying that. And I think
which is the most important thing, right?
Right. And there is a difference there because a film that I would want to watch is going to be much different than a film that, probably what most brides would want to watch of themselves. I mean, we say it all the time, like brides are probably going to love their film first and foremost because they're in it, right? So that's kind of a key difference. But I think, what you're saying is exactly right. Like we want to review these films as if we are a prospect bride, someone that you're going to be selling to. And is your wedding film essentially saleable, to be able to put on your website? So,
yes,
that is kind of the idea.
So here's our first film today. And this is if you don't know, we have a channel membership. Channel members get a little bump in the line, preferential. They didn't give us a ton of information, but they said this is from Alex Jackson, Happy Pair Weddings. And I'm going to go ahead and just post their film or their website in the chat when I get a chance so you can all check them out because we think it's great. Go support other filmmakers. It's the Canon R5 second shooter used Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Challenges. The ceremony was super tight. Majority of the day was dancing. Wow, that's kind of crazy. I wonder how long their coverage was, but not much variety. However, the bride says she wanted lots of dance in the video. Biggest challenge on the edit was color matching the R5 with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. I'm not great at grading and normalizing exposure. Usually I do a whole music video style with no natural sound, so with this I try to incorporate more, I'm assuming you meant natural sound. What I liked, the pace of the video, the couple guests loved it, so I think I did something right. You know what? And I'll just go ahead and look at the pricing just because we always think, oh, never mind, doesn't work. The link is dead. 1,900, I think that's pounds, Jared. I'm not sure what that little dollar. Can you see that one?
I cannot. I don't have it open in front of me. Let me see.
You have to have it open, Jared.
I know. There it is. Good.
Is that a pound? What is that?
Let's see. It is a. Yes, that is a pound.
So it's
pound
probably
sign.
Yes. Similar to American.
I'm the international guy, so I know a lot of things.
He knows lots of dollar signs.
Yeah, I know lots of dollar signs.
Okay,
money and.
Let's get into this film. And here it is. So this is, again, Alex Jackson from Happy Pair Weddings, and this is their film. Here we go.
I'm spending money like I just got paid. $100 bills, tell them keep the change. Come on.
It says you're always in my heart.
If pop a bottle about to make it rain, let me give you something now to celebrate. Come on. And if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good, good, good. Oh, 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 I just feel so good. I see the world through my thrift store shades, rose-colored lenses and a fake gold frame. Come on. Playing old rock songs on an air guitar, posing for your picture like a superstar. Yeah, come on. And if you're wondering why I move the way I do,
The technical hitch meant that her outfit for the day wasn't available, and so the gym kit it was. She needn't worry, she looked gorgeous.
I just feel so good, good, good. Oh, 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 I just feel so good. If you feel it, just dance along. Keep the feeling going on and on. If you feel it, just dance along, dance along, dance along. Yeah. If you feel
Raise
it,
your
just
glasses
dance
as we wish the new Mr. and Mrs. Bloomberg a hippo-sized mazel tov and all the happiness in the world. Thank you once again. Now let's have a good party, eh?
I just feel so good, good, good. Oh, I just feel so good, good.
I wish we had smoke at our weddings, Jared.
Just feel so good.
Yeah.
I just keep waiting for like a sick reveal of this tent. I don't feel like I've gotten any kind of real perspective. Oh, something weird happened.
My video got cut out.
Yeah, I think it's just the film had a weird issue.
Oh.
Anyway, we can just review it, I think. Because,
Yeah. Let's hop in.
All right. So, my opinion, Jared, of this film will be held to my turn because I'll go to you first. So, what we like to do, guys, is do some, first of all, like what we like about the film and some areas where we think it's great, and then maybe what we think the filmmaker can do to improve and maybe either getting clients they want or kind of representing their art a little better. So let's do our round of just what do we like about the film. Jared, what do you like?
Okay, so as far as like an overall picture, what I liked about the film is I really felt like I got to know this couple. And that's probably what I always say, like, first and foremost. Did I feel like I knew this couple, what was important to them, and just who they are, really? So I do feel like I got a feel for who the couple is. In terms of another kind of aspect is the camera movement and operation. I do feel like for a party film, he did a pretty good job of operating. I probably would have done the same thing, gone pretty handheld. So I think he made good decisions in terms of like, hey, I'm going to do handheld for a majority of this film because it's a party film. And that's what I would say. And then also his audio, when he's incorporating it, pretty solid all around. So how about you?
You know, for me, a film like this is kind of polarizing because there's things I like about it, and there's things I don't. But what I like about the film, I think when the filmmaker like was comfortable with the scenario, like that room was actually kind of tricky. There was a lot of lights and even this room, like throughout the day, you could tell there's all this like bad DJ lighting. And they actually did a pretty good job of, accommodating for what a lot of people really mess up, which is just like those backgrounds are super overexposed the whole film, or like spotlights are like making people like, I felt like they handled the scenario pretty effectively.
Totally agree. Yep.
Because that could be tricky. I also think they have pretty solid color. It's natural. It's nothing fancy, but it looks nice. I mean, it makes me wish I had my Canon R5 again, or Canons again, because you just kind of show up and rock and roll and they look good. There's the only thing that I noticed with color that maybe is the spray tan look, but that's not really their fault. I felt like the color was really solid throughout the film. So let's talk about areas where they could improve.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I meant to say one other thing. This
Sure.
reminded me. I thought his speech audio sounded really nice.
yeah. Yep. Me too. The dad, the groom, all around. Even the natural audio of them in the room when the dad sees, the bride for the first time. I liked how he incorporated some of that audio too. I would say the trouble with a film like this is you really can only do so much, right? Like you're in an area that's just like, it's a wedding factory type place. It's hard sometimes to make it look like it's not super cheesy and tacky. Like just the decorations on the wall, I'm like, ugh, gag. But that's not the filmmaker's fault. You're just kind of filming whatever's in front of you. We have weddings like this all the time where it's like, we call them just country club weddings, where it's like, some designer, someone's mom designed these rooms like 10 years ago, and they have signs that say like, home is where the heart is on the wall. And it's like, there's only so much you can do there. So
Rosé all day.
what? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, on a film like this, I would probably hope to have a little bit more shallow depth of field just to like kill a lot of that background ugliness. So a lot tighter shots would have helped here. And I would say a lot of these shots are pretty like mid-range, probably using like I didn't look at the specs of
He
what
didn't tell
lenses
us
he
his
was
lenses,
using.
actually.
But lenses, he's probably using like a 2.8, 24-70 is what I would guess the entire day. So that, which is a solid lens. But when you're staying zoomed in and you're getting a much more compressed shot, you're able to blow it out and kind of get some of these nicer looking shots that he did. I would like to see a lot more of that, because the place is pretty cheesy, pretty ugly. Like I would say you can avoid some ugliness by just zooming in, getting more of a compressed shot. Audio, I didn't really have much criticism of it. The song isn't my favorite, but I wonder if I'm biased there because I've heard it played a million times.
My opinion is that this is not the right song.
Yeah.
But I almost am
agree.
like, I'm a little burnt out on like wedding rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Like-
we have this discussion a lot.
Like I'm always like, ugh. It's like these people don't rock.
Right.
Like, and that's maybe just me. I can't say it's a terrible choice though. It's not like it's a disaster, but it doesn't really shine as a positive for me.
Right. I think you're right. It's more of a personal preference thing. But if I'm a bride and I'm looking at this, something that I've found personally this year especially is that people in general, it's not just you and me, they really are burnt out by this wedding rock, quote unquote. So something else, I don't really know what would, off the top of my head, what would fit a wedding like this. I would say something that has energy, but also maybe incorporating less lyric music would be something you could do, because you do have these good audio parts. And sometimes I feel like maybe they're conflicting a little bit. But yeah, that's what I would say in terms of song. What about you as far as criticisms?
So I actually think a lot of the handheld work is substandard in a few places, like that shot, like that shot. I'm like, if you're using handheld, the movement should be part of how you're doing it.
Is that him, by the way, in that shot?
I don't. Yeah.
Possibly. Or is
Possibly.
that a photographer?
That's a photographer.
Yeah.
But I know he had a gimbal.
Yeah, same.
And so there's a lot of parts where I'm like, why didn't you use a gimbal for this part? Since you want like this shot right here, that's a gimbal. Like, if you're gonna include the shot, shoot it with intention.
Yep.
And if you're gonna shoot handheld, then like it's too warped. Like they're too close to the edge of the frame. Like they're getting like weird lens barrel distortion. Like I think throughout the film, like thinking about what you're trying to do with your tools and then picking the right tool for the job. Like, I'm not saying the tent was nice, Jared, but I know I would have done a push in.
Yeah.
Get that ceiling. The ceiling is part of the show.
Yep.
Like, the background was nice. I didn't see any table shots.
Yep.
And I looked, I'm like, oh, those look like nice tables. They're lit well. Like, they're decorated. You know, like, I know what couples, this is my biggest thing with young filmmakers. They go, the couple said they want blah.
Yep.
And I always say, they don't know how to make a wedding film. You do.
Right.
You need to tell them what to do. The fact that there's no portrait work in this film, Jared, kills it for me. Like, I'm sure they liked it, and I'm sure, like, this is what they had asked for. But, like, for me as a filmmaker watching it, or maybe a prospective bride,
Yeah.
I feel like it lacks emotional punch because it's so informal. And then one little criticism, but I think there's a lot of these common moments where you want to show them in the film, but like they're just hanging a little too long when people, like the dad, or when he walks in the room, you could see he walks in and then the filmmaker's like, all right, blah, blah, blah. And then the filmmaker's like, okay, go. Because the dad's like,
Right.
blah, 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 and then he starts, and it's like a 30 seconds of him, I'm exaggerating.
Just waiting. Yeah.
But it's I think just like the editing and the shooting lack intentionality. And I think as this filmmaker develops, they have a lot of the tools. Like, this person is a good filmmaker and they will continue to be a good filmmaker. And I would just tell you, next time, if you're going to use a gimbal, shoot it, like, use the tool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. And I'll add on to that is just like being intentional with the gimbal. Like, there are some people out there that do this better than I do, where they just film every moment with a gimbal. Whenever I'm using a gimbal, though, I like to be like, this is the shot I'm going to get with this gimbal. The one shot. I'm not just, if I'm just capturing shit as it happens, I'm going handheld, right? Like, if I'm just like waiting for something to happen and I'm going to get the reaction or whatever, like a lot of these dancing shots, then I'm going handheld. But like the shot of them walking back down the aisle, I'm like, I'm going to walk right next to the
And
photographer.
go down. And then you just wait.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So, T-shifting that over to make it so that dad isn't waiting and then going. That's an editing thing. Overall, I think the edit was, cutting to the music. This person obviously knows how to edit to music, so that's a positive.
But as a storytelling, I felt it lacked. In terms of, like, not screwing it up,
yeah,
I think it wasn't screwed up. But I would have liked to seen, like, a little more intentionality with how the story was told.
right on.
That being said, I think it's a good film. I think it looks really solid. Like,
Yep.
the visuals are good, the audio is good. All the, like, hard stuff, they're doing correctly.
Yeah.
So I don't want them to be discouraged. I'm trying to talk to this filmmaker like they know what they're doing.
Yep. I do think, in just watching it, it's kind of like there's a lot of things that are just like, how do you make a film like this? Which it just is what it is. It's a party film. They're just like, we want to go. We want to have fun. We don't want to have a portrait session. We don't care about photo or video. Sometimes you get brides and grooms like that.
I mean, they say that.
How do you make a film like that better? Like that's where your focus should be. Like, okay, where are my points where I can really get what I want?
Yeah,
To really elevate
You know
that
what I'll
film.
say, Jared? I feel like there's not a lot of things I feel like I'm that good at when it comes to filmmaking. But one thing I do well and I feel good about is when I can tell when a day is going sideways or when I'm going to have content issues. And I will do things and capture content in certain ways that, when you're having a tough day, you can go out there and maybe just push them to do things that will make the film better when they're like, oh, we're not going to do portraits. It's like, what do I need to do? I need
Right.
more details.
Right.
You know,
How are you gonna make up for it?
how are you going to make up for it?
Yep.
So I would say like one like this, maybe you can, next time push them to do some things. And if not, maybe you just are like, hey, what do I need to do to make up for it? And
Yep.
so that's it. I think it's a great film. Alex, you're awesome. And I'm really excited to see where you go from here.
Before we hop into the next segment, Jay, because I know you wanted to introduce something, but I just want to answer a question in the comments from Buddy. Buddy said, anyone ever had a bride or groom or parents tell you to turn off your light during the reception? Not often, I would say, Buddy, but it has definitely happened. I had one guest one time lie and pretty much tell us, like, the bride and the groom want the light off, blah, 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 because they just didn't like it. It was ruining the aura of the dance floor for them. So I would say it happens sometimes. This is my trick, though, because we used to always place our light right next to the speakers of the DJ, of the band, whatever, and shoot them towards the dance floor. Nowadays, I always try to find a really strategic place to put the light where it's only going to be hitting my speaker or the bride and groom. So grandma isn't being blinded. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, but being really strategic in terms of like, if I'm pointing my light this way, how many people, like what's the attrition of how many people this is going to be hitting, who's the collateral damage of what this light is going to be affecting, and try to minimize that as much as possible to just hit the person speaking, because someone speaking expects to have a light on them, right?
Yeah.
It's not weird.
It's not weird to have someone speaking on a stage have a light on them.
Yep. So that's what I would say. It happens. I would also say a way that you can avoid the bride and groom being annoyed is just being like, hey, this is the way I use my light. Other videographers, they put it on their camera so it looks like a deer in the headlights look. Not ideal. But what we do is we make it look like stage lighting. That's the way I'd describe it to a bride or to a groom. So they're like,
But
oh, that sounds
you touched on
professional.
something important, though. You, and I bring it up every consult. When I talk to a couple, I say, hey, just so you know, I'm going to use lights, and this is what the experience is going to be. This is how it's going to look, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And they give me at least some. The other thing I'll say, buddy, is depends on your light. Because if you don't have a light that is focusable, that has barn doors, like a big panel, I kind of agree with them. Like,
Right. If you're just kind of blinding everybody, definitely.
So anyway, just keep that in mind.
Cool. What do you have coming up next, Jay?
So many of you guys know we have a podcast, and I wanted to just kind of play you guys a clip because it's related to wedding filmmaking, because it's music bed, but it's also related to wedding filmmaking because it answers a question we've all had, Jared, which is, what do you say to that couple who's like, I just want pop music in my film? So we have a great clip from Daniel McCarthy he's the CEO, the founder of Music Bed, and he's going to give you guys his advice from this latest episode of the Wedding Film School show over on YouTube or podcast, wherever they're found.
Let's do it.
Well, if I get it right, we can do it.
Help us wedding filmmakers a little bit. So how would you explain to someone like a bride what music licensing is and why they can't use a Beyonce song in their wedding film?
So for me, there will always be the people that want to use like whatever top 40 song. Okay, that's fine. Like the bride when I was a wedding filmmaker, or the client when I was in advertising that I wanted, was the client that wanted to create their own moment. For me, for a bride and groom, is like when 300 or 400 people watch this film and it's the first time they have heard of this artist and that song, you just created a moment for them that you couldn't have created if you used a Beyonce song. Like, it is what it is.
I would say make
Sorry about
money
that,
is
guys.
fun.
Audio was off for a second. I said, Wedding Film School show. It's on there. And then I asked him a question. Why do you think wedding filmmakers care so much about shooting, but don't really care so much about maybe the business side of what they're doing?
Right. So, I mean, shooting is the fun part, right?
Yep.
When you actually get to use gear. I think a lot of people who get into wedding filmmaking get into it because of the gear, right? So that's fun. Business stuff. Making money is fun, but it's harder. And it's just more probably boring to talk about. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I like making money more than shooting now. That's just me. What can I say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have a family, it's kind of like you get your priorities straight pretty quick. If you can afford to just not make money and be a starving artist for a little bit, I would recommend that for some people.
Yeah,
too,
that's
because
fun.
It makes it worthwhile to you, and you can learn a lot in that amount of time.
All right,
Yeah.
Jared. So here's our second film. And this is from Osiris Rojas, Modern Love. Productions, I think is what it is.
Yeah, we've done them before.
New York City says this is a really unique wedding in which there was very little formalities, no first dance, parent dances, and portraits were almost 100% candid. We worked with a renowned photographer for this, and because the couple requested little to no direction, it was decided that only the photographer would give them any direction at all. So our footage of them was candid. They had 2 receptions, one before the ceremony, another reception after the ceremony. That's weird. Pre-party, well, I wonder if it was the night before. It was long and complicated day, and we struggled with lighting, and the on-camera interviews were requested by the couple. That is not our typical style. We'll be removing the interviews for our portfolio. All right. They purchased a 5-minute highlight film and all the linear stuff. They paid $7,500. So,
Sick.
yeah, so I'm going to hold this to a $7,500 standard. Here we go.
Good luck. Sick shot.
A lot of 6 shots in this one.
For love is strong as death, and passion is unquenchable. Its flashes are flashes of fire, a divine flame. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. There is no way that one could imagine your meeting and falling in love without considering all the manifold coincidences that had to happen for the 2 of you to meet and then meet again and fall in love just at the time in your lives at which you did.
I love every single part of you.
You're the kindest person I've ever met.
The way you instinctively fold into each other when you sit side by side, as though you just need to feel the presence of the other one next to you to be better, to be stronger, to help you realize how incredibly in love you are.
Are they allowed to have that at their wedding, Jared?
Jake, I'm so excited.
The dragon?
You. I feel great about everything, and I love you, and I can't wait to see you up there. Jake, I could say we knew from the beginning, but we'd both know that's a lie.
These vows are really funny, Jared. / audience.
This was Perry's favorite book. Time-tested secrets for capturing the heart of Mr. Right. Rule number 7, don't call him and rarely return his calls. This was at one point the most important book in Perry's life. Until she met Jake.
Perry, I wish I could say that it was love at first sight.
Jake had long declared that he was going to be a bachelor until he was 45. And here we are, 14 years ahead of schedule. Jake suddenly wanted all the things he'd so vehemently sworn off. It was all different with Perry. She was the one.
This house is cold, but your breath on the sheet makes me feel.
You're the most beautiful, smart, funny, and thoughtful person. I know that I'm marrying the love of my life, and I cannot wait to start our journey together.
I promise to never, ever, ever forget how rare it is and how lucky we are and how worthwhile it will be to work hard to nurture and protect our bond.
I haven't been nervous like one time. I'm just pure excitement, not even an ounce of being nervous.
And that's like what the
That's what I feel like you should feel like when you're getting married.
Edgy people.
It wasn't until one fateful night that I realized I wanted to spend the rest of my life with you. After my first martini, I asked you to be my girlfriend. An hour later, while sipping the second martini, I told you I loved you. And later that night, I can recall with 90% certainty I told you I would marry you. Ever since that realization, I've looked forward to this moment.
You are brave enough to be exactly who you are 100% of the time and to know correctly that everyone loves you for that. Jake, you're perfect and you give my life meaning. I love you.
Your love for one another is so obvious and infectious.
They are each other's favorite comedian. They are the president of each other's fan club.
Thank God for Allie and Perry. They're the love of my life, and I'd have nothing without them.
She is the funniest, richest, prettiest, coolest, and chicest divorce attorney New York has ever seen, and those are her words.
So welcome to the clique, Jake. We'll see you on our honeymoon. Let's cheers to this amazing and insane couple.
All right, Jared. So this film is over. What do you think? What do you love about the film, and what are some things you think can be improved?
Yeah, again.
Sorry, we're going to do love first, and then we'll do improve.
Yep. I loved the couple. I thought the couple was awesome. And you did a good job of capturing that, how cool they are, their personalities. I loved the vows in the voiceover. Like you said, the vows are really good. But also, not just that they existed, that this couple is really cool, but the way that you used it in the film as well. Except Grandpa's audio. I didn't like Grandpa's audio. I know I'm supposed to wait on critiquing it, but I probably wouldn't have thrown Grandpa's audio in there. Everything else was really good. I thought it was a really good use of storytelling there. I also, I know that in the treatment that you sent over, you said that everything is going to be candid, that you decided that the photographer was going to be doing leading and being director.
Which is pretty typical at a lot of weddings.
Which is typical for us. Like our wedding film company, that's a majority of our I would say 95% of our shots are going to be pretty candid and just documenting actually
sniping from the photographer.
So I thought it was good. I loved the way that they covered the parties were really, really good. I loved their camera movement. I thought their use of editing and doing some transitions and overlapping and all that kind of stuff was really, really excellent. Really well done. Felt like it captured the vibes of the film. So overall, color is really consistent. I mean, not a lot to hate about this film at all. I thought it was really, really fun.
Oh, I have a bunch of things I really hate. So
yeah, well, same. But
yeah.
Overall, I think this couple should be really happy. And I would say, for the cost, I would say you're right there. Yeah, I'd say you're right there in terms of what you charge them for. And yeah, what about you, Jay? What are some things that you like about the film?
So I love the color.
Yep.
Like I'm a fan of like a poppier look personally, in terms of contrast and just some of the choices. And I felt like your color choice was very solid. I liked it a lot. You already touched on audio. I love the audio. Really good, minus what you mentioned. Also, I'm sure they demanded that, but it sounds bad. I don't even know what he said. But anyway, I think like when you choose to storytell like with a couple like this and you have like cabaret dancers and all this craziness at a wedding. You know, I know like it could be easy to pull punches on a wedding like this, but I think you made the right choice to kind of include it all. And really put it out there, and I feel like they're gonna love it. She's a divorce attorney, so we'll see how long this lasts anyway. So, I'm just kidding, but I think it's a really solid film, and I agree with you that I feel like for them, what they paid, they got their money's worth.
I would also add, they did a really good job. When we talk about covering a wedding film, there's two different aspects of coverage, right? You have your basics. You have to cover your toast, your ceremony. You have to get your basic shots, which are not interesting. They're not creative. It's just like get a good looking shot of the person speaking, of the ceremony. Like I thought their choices there were really great, really solid. Lens choice, everything. Like they are able to tell a story because they covered those basics really, really well. But then also their creative shots are pretty fun too. There's a lot of critique that I'll give as well when we dive in there. But I thought the basic coverage was really, really well thought out and well done.
So I'm going to start out the criticisms because I want this person to be a $10,000 filmmaker.
Yeah.
And so a couple things. First of all, I feel like you need a lot more establishing shots of the locations. I think you need a lot more details, high-end looking details. Those are little quick hits. My biggest critique, one other quick thing is when you're shooting candids, I feel like there was a lot of like missed kisses and like awkward interactions that were more like, this is a cool moment, but the actual look on the person's face or what the people were actually doing in the shot was awkward. And I would notice that a lot. This groom missed 3 kisses in this film. Like he went to a kiss and then he like missed her lips and then he missed, like, you know what I'm saying? Those are little things, but I feel like it's lack of polish. The biggest criticism I had was there was a lot of light usage, but they were always on the wrong color temperature. Like if you're gonna take a person outside and hit them with the light and the lights are all super orange, like you gotta warm up your light a little bit. And like,
staircase shot was my criticism.
But it's throughout the film. Like every time they take that light out, it's always daylight balanced. And like right here.
Yep. Anytime
look how orange the light is in the background, and look how white it is. It just looks not good.
Yeah. So the reason why the photographer put them there is because they can remove that orange pretty easily. You as a filmmaker, you're gonna have a little bit more trouble kind of balancing it correctly. Like we just had a bride recently who was like, "Why are all your reception clips orange?" We're like, "It was sunset, and it's orange when it's sunset." And she's like, "My photographer sent me all these images, and they are white." And I'm like, "Well, I see an American flag in the background of that one image that you're sending me from your photographer, and it's a white American flag." So I know they just shifted out of all the orange. So they can use a shot like that. For you, if you're in a situation like this, I would probably avoid even shooting that direction. I would shoot towards the light, and then I would try to get as much orange out of that shot as possible, and then just daylight balance it.
I'm just asking him a question because they said the photographer is turning the light off, and I'm asking, is that your light or the photographer's light? That would make sense if it was a photographer, because photographers, no offense, Benj, often don't understand constant light because they're shooting raw, and they don't understand what it's like to have to get it perfect in camera. That was a photographer's light. Well, I apologize then. That sucks for you. I'm sure you would have done better. And I'm actually very relieved to see that because I was watching that and I was like, they wouldn't make this. This doesn't make any sense that they would make this mistake.
I probably would have leaned it like this is the reason why you see someone like Sharon, who's
I can't
phenomenal.
Stop thinking about Sharon when I'm watching this film.
She always goes orange. She leans into the orange because like when you do orange, it kind of balances, I think, a little bit better.
And people
it's
like
not
orange
as
and
contrasty.
It wasn't their light though, Jared, is my point.
Right, but you could warm that up. You could warm that shot up. Like you can make that. That's probably at like 5,600 kelvins. I would probably just crank it up to be a little bit warmer and just be like, You're talking about like tungsten lighting in a museum. Like that's going to be orange.
When you release this film and you remove the bad parts, I would take all these blue shots and just warm up that dress to be white and let the background be as orange as it's going to be.
Right.
It doesn't matter. No one cares if that background's orange. So, Yeah, I think if you're dealing, Ben Heisch, who's a very good photographer. If you've never heard of him, he does a good job. And he just said, he says most mediocre filmmakers don't seem to care about light balancing. I care a lot, Bench, but but yeah, I do understand. And also, like when you're gunning, sometimes you just make you overlook certain things, and so it's not like you're a bad filmmaker or a bad photographer. Yeah. But what do you do with it when it happens?
I thought it was interesting, and I wonder that one black and white shot that they used, if they used that because they didn't like the way that their lighting looked there. It's like in the hotel room, I think. Because that's a trick we've used over the years a lot.
Yeah.
So
I was going to make one last thing, and I say some of the composition throughout the film, like there's a lot of like chopping heads off. And
that's the shot that I was going to critique. Was her interview is not comparative to his interview, and I promise I know what happened here. Is like you were like shot the guys, and you were like, "Hey, bride, I really have to get the shot of you," and she was like, "This is the only time you have to do it while I'm getting my hair finished," and you're like, okay, we'll just do what we can do.
I would have backed it up though, because he's getting a lot of barrel. I don't like barrel distortion on people. That's, for me, that's a big thing.
Well, and this is something that I found a lot this year, and I was going to bring this up too. Is like you always have to think about the bride, right? What a bride thinks is much different than you and me and other filmmakers are going to think. So if I see a beautiful shot and I'm like, that's a great shot, a bride might hate this shot, right? They might hate because, like you said, the barrel distortion is going to make her cheeks look chubby, right? Being that close to them is just going to make them look way bigger and add pounds to the camera. And so there was that shot. There was another shot that I thought the same thing, like, oh, when she's like her tongue is like curling, she's licking.
It's like half the move.
I wouldn't use that shot.
I might use it. I might use it if I had a full interaction to show. But it was weird because it would just cut right to a shot with a tongue.
Yeah, I would have cut that shot out completely. The way that it is, it's just, it can be fun if it's a little more flattering and flirty. That wasn't flattering and flirty to me. I think a bride would see that. And maybe she's like, whatever. I think it's funny.
I think she's like whatever.
Right.
But I would have probably still shown it differently.
Honestly, I wouldn't have risked it. I wouldn't have sent it to the bride because the brides that I've worked with this year especially are very conscious about their image. Like, I literally had a bride this year say, this film is because I look orange. Is my friends? I don't feel like my friends are gonna wish that they were at my wedding because everyone looks orange, and I'm just like, oh my God.
She was mad. She didn't care about the film. She was mad that people wouldn't be jealous of her.
Wouldn't be jealous of her. This is what she said. I was like, okay, well, you got married at a wedding factory, so I mean, there's only so much I can do with what we have, and also your film is awesome for what it is. But anyways, I digress. I'm just very conscious about how, what the bride looks like in every single shot. Is she giving a face? How does this make her look? I think especially, I see most people in our chat are men or identify as men, right? We have to be thinking like a bride, right? Like, how is the bride going to see themselves in this film? How is our main character? You have to think of these brides as like freaking actresses and actors. Like, are they going to be picky? And every single shot,
of course they are. They spend
they are, yes. So just being ultra picky on our end is a hack. It's going to mean less revisions later on, etc. So,
that shot right there drives me nuts, Jared.
That shot there?
Yes.
I think that's freaking dope looking. Why don't you like it? Because the lady's on her phone and masked?
No, no, this shot right here because her head is cut off.
Right, but play it. Does it not get cut off after?
It doesn't.
Okay, so if it's moving, it's one thing.
It's just like on there for 1 second. I know why you included it, because she turns around, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would cut it. I would, but I don't like it.
I think what I might have done is crop it below her chin.
Yeah, maybe crop it so it's more of a focus on her face.
Yep.
Anyway,
I thought some of those establishing shots were pretty good, Jay. You just want to see more of those establishing shots?
This is the thing, and I don't like to make it all cookie cutter, but like when you watch like super high end filmmakers, Jared, there's certain things they always do. When someone spins, this wedding guarantees over $250,000.
Mm-hmm. Definitely,
and it didn't look like it on camera. Because you didn't do like big room reveals and like the Alex Douglas stuff where like he's taking.
I thought there were some wider shots.
I don't even know what the room looks like that they got married in. or that they had their reception in.
Maybe it was the rehearsal night. I hate that shot. That one shot is bonkers. But yeah,
I just felt like it was lacking in. They spent like there's so many things to this wedding. Like they had these custom Andy Warhol images and a lot of these things that I was kind of just like
those wider shots. And
no, I want to do like
even wider shot.
I want to do a push in of the room with no people in it.
I think they
like
did that though, Jay.
Details.
I definitely saw that.
Maybe I felt like I don't know. I just scrolled through it 3 times before I said it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it, and I don't remember seeing it. And I remember feeling like I just wanted that kind of like.
Because it's such a cool room. You know it's a cool room. You want to see more.
I want
shots.
like the
Get a
fact
sense
that this is over the top to be part of the story.
Right.
Like, and I feel like I'm partial to gimbals for those moves. Just me personally, but a little handheld's okay too. Static is okay as well, but even a post push zoom. But anyway, that's me. What about you, Jared? Any stuff we missed in terms of areas to improve?
So I was thinking about the music, right? I thought the first song might have been a little bit too intense for me, for what it was. It was like kind of like your classical strings, and I don't think
I agree. It
was a little bit too intense for what it was, especially with this couple.
Falling in love.
Minor critique there. The second song,
It maybe was that it was just like too mellow. Even it was like spa music.
Right. Yeah. So it was a little. I don't know what it was. It was just a little off. The other songs I kind of liked. The last song I really loved. I thought it was a perfect fit for them.
I agree.
So really fun. Of course, like you have so many assets to work with in a film like this that are just so they just lend themselves so well to shooting a wedding film. So I think you did a good job capturing like not only like your wide shot.
Right there, you missed his kiss.
The half kiss.
He was like, well, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they covered, the events very, very well.
This is a good film. I mean, you're a good
really
filmmaker,
good
man. Like you're a really good filmmaker. This is me just, I want to get you to that like $10,000 price point.
Right.
Like pushing, I can't help but look at a film like this and think about Sharon from Fior Films, who's a New York City filmmaker. If you don't know, she's amazing, incredible filmmaker. I look at this and go like, how would she cover that? Not to say you should imitate Sharon, but she's in a lot of the same situations. And I think she's dealing with a lot of the same problems. And so obviously, I'm sure you know them. Maybe you know them. If you're not.
Modern Love is Two Ladies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
By the way.
You are terrible, Jared.
I don't know. I'm sorry. It's something that I always have to keep track of on my end because I'm always like, I love this shot. I love the color, blah, 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 blah. And I never think about like the bride is making a weird face. And like just by doing an easy T shift to the left, it can be her like doing like a weird smirk versus her just smiling. And like little things like that go such a long way with it.
I mean, they will return the film when they don't like it.
Yeah.
They will. But I would say when I look at the film, I go like, I think Sharon would have found a little more ways to just really slow herself down and get a couple signature compositions.
Right.
And I felt like the film was missing some like, what was the best shot, Jared? What was that signature moment in the film? What were like the 5 or 6 things that made you say, wow? And I really think like that is the difference between like those elite filmmakers and being just really, really good and making a good amount of money is you blow people's mind. You surprise them. Like I didn't feel surprised by this film. And I think that's like next level is how can you make...
Do you think, let me ask you with that. So do you think that's because you, the footage was so spread out that they didn't really keep any secrets until like later on the film where they could surprise you? You were like, oh, I've already seen shots there. Like what do you think could help there?
I think it was that it felt like they were under a lot of pressure. And I felt that in the shooting. Okay. I felt like they didn't have the ability, like I felt like they didn't feel like they were in control at all. And I think we can make those excuses as filmmakers, but I know the weddings that some of these other people are shooting, and they're in the same situations or worse, and they kind of figure out a way to do it because they know in their mind, like, this is my signature shots. This is my rabbit in the hat that I pull out at every wedding. And this is the things I do that set me apart. And I'm just going to do these plus do coverage.
Right.
And I felt like, what is your signature moment? Like, what would make you so psyched? And if it isn't like, oh, I'm working with this couple and I'm intimate with them and I'm connecting, it's like, you're not always going to have that. So sometimes you just got to have something that you can do that the couple doesn't need to have buy-in for.
Right.
That makes the film feel special.
But let me ask you about this, because we haven't talked about this, I don't think, on this show, probably in a while, and maybe ever. But what do you think about chronological editing versus, just kind of more
Non-linear.
full montage, editing?
They're both good. And Chaz Reed actually asked, do you believe every wedding has a wow moment? No, I do not. This one had many.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. This was a freaking dope wedding. This wedding was incredible. And I think the film is really good too, but I do think it did have wow moments. And, so.
And the reason why we're I think talking so much about one like this is because Jay and I, with our businesses, we're kind of at this point too. Like, how do we take our film from $7,500 to $10,000? Like, how do we get up to that level? What are the differences? These are internal conversations that we have.
If you edit this film right, Modern Love, if you girls do this film right, this film will allow you to raise your prices. And so I'm trying to make you think of it that way. It's not about the couple. It's about you.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, the couple's there. This is a really cool film, really cool couple, really cool wedding. But really quick, before you move on, Jay, the reason why I bring up nonlinear editing is I wonder if that would allow you to give a little bit more punch, is if you make it a little bit more of a story that people can follow along, and maybe mix it up a little bit. But when it's such a montage, I think it's like, me as a filmmaker, I see a lot of these, so I'm kind of used to it. But your normal couple, I think, likes everything that I've ever heard from our couples is they like how linear our edits are, and we mix it up a little bit. There's a little bit of overlap, but they feel like
we have some rules that we follow. Here's some things that need to be linear, and here's some that don't.
Right. Because then you feel like, okay, something's gonna happen next, and then you could be like, boom, here's a dragon. Like, what? That's crazy. Here's a person that pops out of a box. Like, what? This is crazy. Like, you could have a lot more oomph if you had withheld them a little bit longer.
Or maybe give it a little space. I'm not sure. There's a lot. It's not a criticism. It's just one of those things where I would have to sit down and really think about it, because I take this really seriously. When you have I'm not sure this is the wedding of a lifetime. You maybe feel that way. Maybe you don't feel this way. But I will tell you, to someone, this would be the wedding of a lifetime.
Right.
To most filmmakers. And when you have that, I take it seriously. I sit back, I think, I say, I have to freaking kill it. So that's just kind of where I'm coming from, is like, I feel like you did a great job. I feel like there's a better film in here.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for submitting that one.
Really
that
good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really good. I know I was a little hard on it, Jared, but only because I think this filmmaker deserves all the best.
Well, I told you that you're the executioner, Jay. You're the wedding film executioner.
I want this person to achieve their dreams and become exactly who they can be.
I do think in another lifetime, Jay, you would have been a good food critic.
Oh, yeah. I am a good food critic.
Yeah, but professionally. You could make money doing it because you just shred things, and you like food. I think you could have found your calling in food, man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm gonna be in New York next week. Anybody? So don't. But I'm not gonna hang out with any of you.
I was like, yeah, why you want to hang out with people when you're in New York?
You can message me on Instagram, and I'll say, awesome, dude. Next time I'm in town, not with my wife. Okay, so this next film, Jared, is from our good friend David Lee. And I'm going to prepare you guys ahead of time. This is a dope looking film. So Jared hasn't seen it, but I'm really excited. I'm going to full screen this Jim Jam. So here we go. This is from David Lee, from David Lee Co. This is his film. Actually, I'll give you a little details. This is a really unique wedding, and which there was very little formalities, no first dances. Oh, no, sorry. No, David didn't give me any details. The most David thing in the world. He's like, here's just a good film, and take it or leave it. So never mind. I know nothing about it. It's David. I'm not sure what he shot on. I think he's doing Sony right now. But
yeah.
I'm going to do a bike link. Jeez, bike Because we're running out of sunlight.
Can I come near?
Nope.
Why not?
What if you just threw her off?
Push
That's
her.
the beginning
Yeah.
of the song. It's like that's the first like found footage horror movie style wedding.
This is Iceland, right?
Yeah. I wonder if anyone's ever got married here before.
What is it that you love in the other when you love unconditionally? You don't love their physical form. You don't love their psychological form, their personality.
Turn off the background audio, Jay.
Thought I did.
The unconditional love goes deeper. So what you love is not the form, but the formless essence of the other. And you can only love that when you can sense within yourself the formless. When you can be still and present enough, and then you can recognize something. What you recognize is, for lack of a better word, from that dimension in yourself, you can sense it in the other, and that is love. It's basically a recognition that in essence the other is the same as you.
I like this
It had
song.
always been you. I knew your name and I had seen your face, and you are what I've been praying for all my life. I love every little thing about you. Your beauty is unrivaled, both inside and out. I promise today to be this strong, confident man you need. I promise to be your confident and the one you can always rely on, even when everyone else fails. I will pick you up like you did me. I promise to be a strong, good, reliable, positive father figure for Peyton. I promise to keep falling in love with you and to never stop dating you. I promise to love you and cherish you for the rest of my days. We have found something magical here, you and I, and we've both been given something special that we both hoped we would find. Today I give you the biggest and best piece of me, a piece I don't mind trusting into your gentle hands. My heart. Thank you, sweetheart, for putting my pieces back together and loving all my pieces, even my frustrating ones. Most of all, thank you for your love and the ability to believe in the magic of love again. I love you very much, my dear.
Could go wrong, would go wrong, but somehow we have managed to keep one foot in front of the other, walk through some of the most difficult storms, and I am here standing next to you. To this day, you still amaze me, growing, learning, and challenging myself. You help me remember the important things and separate them from everything that I worry and fear. You've helped me become better versions of myself time and time again. I am so lucky to call you my partner, my best friend, and my husband. I trust you with my heart and my life. I can't wait to expose the deepest parts of the earth with you, and in the most ordinary, boring, and quiet days at home together. I'll go anywhere and nowhere with you, do anything and absolutely nothing with you, for the rest of our lives. I love you.
Okay.
David, you're a punk ass bitch.
So let's say, what do we love?
God. Man. I loved everything. I think it's just going to be so hard for me to find something that I didn't like about that film. I love everything. I mean, I say it every time. Like, I do feel like I get to know the couple, and that's important to me when watching a wedding film. I felt like it was emotional. I felt like it was incorporated the son really well. I'm assuming they're the son, right? Everything, man. I mean, how do you do it? I probably have more questions than commentary, because this film was amazing.
So I'll be honest with everyone. I'm gonna review this one like when I do film judging at WPPI, which is Wedding Film and Portrait International in Las Vegas every year, and I'm gonna kind of critique it like that, which is not, is it good, because it's David. We know it's good. It's better than most of any of us will ever do in our whole lives. So that's the truth. But so anyway. I loved it, though. It was a great film. My favorite part about the film is, honestly, just David's camera work is basically flawless, I mean, in terms of, like, he doesn't do anything that I'd be like, this is bad. Improve at your color or your motion or your composition, or, like, there's nothing like that David does with his filmmaking and shooting that I can really critique. It's awesome. I think... but in particular, knowing David as an artist and as a creator, like the technical intentionality that he has throughout his film, the way he uses a tight focal length, the foreground in that shot, like that shot right there, the hair wagging, the way it's David does a great job taking people's faces and letting the face tell the story, and not just being like, and then they said this.
David's a prime guy, right?
Yeah, who knows? He changes his rig so much.
But I think something that David does with his camera work, and kind of diving into that a little bit, is he always knows how to move his feet when he has a fixed lens, right? So he's in there. He's like close to that gal.
Like that composition right there is incredible.
So and it kind of goes into something I did want to talk about that I really loved about the film. Was, can we talk about like the difference between good and bad getting ready stuff? Like,
yes.
What is good getting ready stuff? What is bad getting ready stuff? Because we see,
or at least high end or low end. Do you mean, or do you mean good or bad?
Good or bad, also high end and low end.
So good or bad. Bad is just like you're shooting and you don't clean the room, or you don't put them in good light, or you don't turn off bad lights, or you don't ask for what you need for the couple, or you don't move them in a good spot. That's good or bad. High end, like elevated versus typical, is like, not only are you putting them in good light, but you're considering the story you're telling when you put them in the light. You're thinking like, I want this to feel intimate. I want this to feel personal. I want this to feel fun. Like, and I feel like he's doing all of that stuff. And also there's a little bit of, I think like, maybe I'm just old school when I think about art, but I like a little mystery, right? I don't want to see all the ugly things. I don't want realistic looking wedding films. I like idealized wedding films. I like things to be like, almost a fantasy, and I feel like if you can take wedding films and the getting ready part, which is the most raw and least, I think, high end part of any wedding day, and you can kind of like hide the bad parts and only highlight the personal parts, that's when you take it into the next level.
My question to David would be, where is the photographer in this film? Because I feel like there was absolutely no photographer interference in this film. Like, I feel like it was just David and them. Like, and David could have free reign to do whatever he wants. He gets the center of that shot right there.
Benj is still here. If he is, I would say, like, I can imagine, like, if Benj was shooting this wedding with someone.
Yeah. Benj. If Benj was there, it would be very easy to work around. A lot of photographers like to give a lot of direction. I feel like in this film, David's giving a ton of direction. Like, he can be on one side, because he's just shooting this with one camera, dude. Like that. Now he's getting his one wide shot. He's not shooting multiple angles with this. He's just getting okay, this is what I'm going to get for this one shot where they're going to pop those poppers, and that's my shot, and I'm going to lean on it. And then when she's giving her vows, I'm in on her, and then I'm going to move my feet and move over to him. Like, it's not multiple camera coverage.
This session is so good.
It's unbelievable. Unreal.
With the suns, or there's a rainbow in the background.
Yeah. Like, David's film work is, I think, the definition of intentionality
And definition of underrated.
Well, yeah, I would agree.
I feel like so.
David is a protege of Henry Martin's. They worked a lot together. So a lot of the camera work. I think they're some of the best camera operators in the business.
I just watched a film that they shot together again recently, and it was amazing. So anyway, so let's talk about areas where we think it could be improved.
Right.
I have a few actually that I think when I think about it, the way I was explaining the previous.
Well, we probably had the same one where the one shot of people in the background at the waterfall. And,
I don't care about that stuff.
And that was it.
That's a
David,
Jared thing.
You should have masked them out, David. That's the work that you should have put into. So, I'm kidding, of course, because literally I don't think there's really a ton to critique about. I'm curious to see what you would say, Jay.
So, and by the way, CBF Lazario, I will answer that question at the end. So hold on. But I would say, from a storytelling standpoint, this is just from like maybe even just working with the couple kind of thing. I was wanting like one more session, Jared, and maybe one more like environment. Like, you went on this trip, right? And I felt like this hike. I felt like throughout the film, maybe including some other elements, because once we kind of got through the first, I think, minute to 2 minutes, minute and a half or something, it was pretty much just them standing in the same spot doing vows. And then the last 30 seconds, you brought those vows in and stuff, or not the vows, that other portrait session in. I felt like it needed something else to keep like the juice going in the film, to make it like perfect, totally next level. Now, I do totally understand that maybe that wasn't available, but I would have thought maybe that if you could have gotten one more session out of the couple, I think the film would be like next level, like top of the heap level wedding film.
See, I disagree, man. I thought it was perfect. I thought the amount of scenes, like the getting ready on her side, the getting ready on his side, it's a couple different scenes. They're obviously their wedding, the casual setting, and actually that session with the sunlight is a different session as well.
I think it's after the wedding. So I think this session right here is the one I was like, I wanted to see more like different clothes.
But I feel like I liked the different clothes getting ready. And we just talked about it in the last film, like kind of pulling your punches until later in the film. Like, he introduces with that cool one shot of like, he has the cowboy hat. He's walking. He looks like
freaking, and also this shot,
like
I don't like
Jesse
this shot.
James in that shot. And so you're getting that one shot, and then he cuts it out, and then he goes into them in their casual clothes. That's what I liked about it. And then he's slowly introducing more and more and more. I would say the critique that I actually have, the real critique.
Oh, and the audio was kind of messed up through in the ceremony. That microphone stopped working, and that was not a good plan.
The one critique that I actually would have would be, at one point the song got really high, and then I wish the quality of shots kind of elevated as well to much more epic shots.
But that's my exact point. That's the same point I made.
Well, you're talking about more like scenes. I saw that like the climax of the song was going up, and I wish I saw the shots of like location, the epic shots to match the song a little bit more. And I think it was cutting back to like these shots of like the getting ready at that point. So I thought they didn't really match at one point. And I wish because I felt like you could have used the song a little bit.
I think maybe
you did it later in the film too.
The couple's energy wasn't pushing as hard as the song. And I think that's kind of where I saw it, is like it. When I was watching it, I was like, man, this couple's energy they're very emotional, they're very sentimental. There's nothing wrong with that. These are all good things. But I was just thinking, like, you got to take them out of this environment and I would have loved to see them run or do something energetic at all in the film. But it was like this guy crying the entire film and pulling his hat down to high as tears. Like most every shot of this guy, he's half crying and covering his eyes, and which is cool looking sometimes. But I was like, can we like see the guy? Like there he is, and there's a smile. He looks great.
Yeah, I disagree though, because I feel like I got to know this guy. He was smiling in a lot of the film.
Yeah,
I think we're over critiquing.
I'm not over critiquing. I'm thinking, how do I get this to a 90? I told you I'm gonna do it like WPI.
I think this is a 90, dude. I think the thing that probably pulls away from it is that it's actually not a wedding day, and judges would hate on it for that.
Oh no, they wouldn't. They would love it.
Really?
Oh, my thing is like, and I also am biased against Iceland weddings.
Exactly.
Because I'm just like, yeah.
I think this is a 90. I think this is an actual 90.
I would give it an 85.
No, your film got an 85.
No, but it shouldn't. It got an 83.
Right, but this film is 10 points better than ours were.
Anyway, good film. I want more of this stuff.
There he is.
Show me this shot. Show
There
me
he
like
is.
10% of the more footage.
I would have
from this
told them to
session.
take off that stupid ass hat, though.
Oh, I love that hat.
I freaking hate that hat.
You're a dumb idiot.
Well, it just goes against. It pulls me out of the moment. Like I don't want to see any kind of dumb logos. But it's not my.
What if
choice.
it said? What if it
Was
said?
David's
What if it
choice?
was a handgun and someone loading it?
Well, then I would love it. If they were shooting guns,
yeah,
that would have been fun. That would have
Yeah.
been great. Bunch of rednecks shooting guns. Love it.
Okay, so CBF Lazario Jared asked a question, and he said, "Do you feel there's a bit of conflict between doing a wedding video to impress versus wedding video to make clients happy?" And a lot of I don't think they're related.
I would say if you're a wedding filmmaker and you're not trying to make me happy personally, you're doing it all wrong. Is what I would say. I'm the end all be all.
I see this feedback a lot, this question a lot, Jared. I've never understood this question.
So I would say different strokes for different folks. The person that hires David is going to be different than the person that hires me. Like we don't do elopement films. Like, and if we do, they don't look like David's film.
First question though,
Right.
do you feel there's a conflict between shooting for the filmmaker and shooting for the couple?
No, I don't think so.
Not-
I think David's leaning into what he likes.
I think
what
he's
he
referring
does.
to my comment from the Modern Love. If you could correct me if I'm wrong, CBS.
I don't think so. I think he watched this film and says like, "Hey, is this just wedding film masturbation for wedding filmmakers, right? Or is it for the couple themselves?" I think this couple knows David, like, and I would even say probably for the last film too. They probably know their style and they hire them based on what that filmmaker likes. I know David is a no compromise kind of filmmaker. He's only making the wedding film for what he likes.
Yeah, this is so,
and that's what this couple is hiring him for.
So to answer your question, CBF, no, I don't think that's a conflict. I don't. He says, for example, I could do a video that looks wow, it's 2 to 3 minutes long, and the bride's going to be like, "You didn't get this, and you didn't put that in the video, so you didn't include my aunt." So I would say a couple that's going to ask you to include their aunt is probably not going to have a wow wedding.
Right. Like, and so it all depends what you put out there. Like, if a couple sees that you do a 2 to 3 minute, and then they're like, "Hey, where's my aunt?" It's going to be, they're more likely not going to ask you that because they've seen your work being a 2 to 3 minute teaser film. Like, so they know what you do. They know that like, sometimes, like, David didn't even include, their parents were in one shot in this film. They were like the wide shot of everyone popping the poppers. That's when family was in there. And actually, no, 2 shots.
There was a handful.
Mom was getting ready, getting the dress on.
I also think they went to that, like, it's kind of back to my original critique. Is like they were there a little more, and I would have liked to seen a little more of that, just personally. But I think it's not a conflict to say.
Well, you wanted to see them eating sharks in Iceland, Jay, or what?
I don't
The
know. Just
restaurant?
like he's clearly hanging out with them for a couple days.
Pickled sharks. That's what you want to see, Jay?
Sure. Most videos are 7 to 8 minutes because I try to include everyone. Okay, so this is my point, CBF. If your clients, if you keep showing that, everyone who hires you is going to expect that.
Yeah.
And so you got to show what you want to grow. And if you want films that, it just depends, at the end of the day. But there's not conflict.
Right.
Like, it's not a conflict. I will say there might be some weddings that it's a conflict. Maybe there's a wedding where you really have the opportunity to do something amazing. But at the end of the day, I think at the end of, like, most people like good-looking stuff.
Mhm.
So if you make a sick-looking wedding film, at the end of the day, I don't think people are going to be like, this is terrible. Now, some people might say, like, include my aunt. And this is what I'll say about that. If your film is so precious that there's one little, you can't find a way to include someone's aunt in the wedding film, that you have another problem there. I don't see how anyone could be like, could you include this speech or could you include that? I don't see how that precludes you from also making a wow film, Jared.
Yeah, I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but at the same time, I would say if you're David Lee, you're just gonna, and you have shots of the aunt, it's probably like, he's like, I have a bride who looks amazing, has cool tattoos, and like obviously very comfortable on camera. I'm gonna shoot that person and not include the aunt because I think it's just better looking. You're making a decision as a creative, and also this is what I would say is, it's super easy to just add a freaking shot to the aunt and deliver.
That's what I
later.
just said. Like the film,
it's easy to do a shot swap. So just do that for their delivery, and then the thing that you put on your website is this one without the aunt. Because more than likely, you're not going to get a super creative, intimate shot of the aunt to match the rest of these shots. You're going to get them standing like this, and they're going to look stupid, and who cares? Like, don't include it in the film that you put on your website. So
I mean, if you're telling me your films are not going to be elopement films, CBF, Lazario, duh.
Yeah.
Like duh.
Yeah.
But I don't. But I'll tell you, like, go watch Scolding with Time. He doesn't do elopement films.
Mm-hmm.
He does 300-person luxury weddings, and they freaking blow your mind. And it has nothing to do. They're not correlations.
And I would also say, if you're the person who's doing wedding films and you're like, hey, I do the wedding films where I include every single person, people are probably going to gravitate towards you who want that. So just, you put out, like exactly what you said, Jay, you put out the people that you want to book you at the end of the day.
Yeah, so it's up to you. They're not mutually exclusive. And if you have an axe to grind against people, you're like, this isn't a real wedding film.
Yeah.
I would say, that's your problem. But if you actually are being realistic and saying, like, can I make if you're actually asking, can I make an artistically viable film and also without compromising? Yes, you can.
Yep.
You can do it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Jared, anything you want to say as we're kind of closing up the stream? Well, let's remind people about submitting. How do they do that, Jared?
Yeah. So thank you for everyone who submitted, by the way. Really awesome week. Really cool films. I dig it. I think we got a good variety here. So thank you guys. You guys are the reason why we can even do this show. So excited to be back next week, 1 p.m. If you want to submit to WFS Live, make sure you're going to the weddingfilm.school website. You are submitting there. If you submit earlier in the week, I'm just going to tell you guys, you have a better chance of us actually watching your film and including it in the show. People who add their film like 2 hours before we start this thing, more than likely we're not going to watch your film just because we have to download your film. We have to upload. There's a lot of work that Jay does right before the show that would preclude you from actually getting on. So it actually takes work beforehand. So make sure you're doing that a few days beforehand. And make sure that your films, again, 5 minutes in length, guys. That's what we're doing on the show. Otherwise,
I will say
much longer.
You can submit it. We just might not watch the whole film.
We might cut it off.
Yeah.
So, and then also make sure you are submitting and your music is licensed. Otherwise, we can't put it on YouTube without them taking down our show. So we don't want that as well. What was the last thing, Jay?
I was going to say, everybody hit like, please. That helps us a lot. Maybe drop a comment. And then I also remind people, we have another channel, our sister channel, the Wedding Film School Show. If you like what we're doing around here and you want to learn more about wedding filmmaking, the business, we just, like we showed earlier, we had Daniel, the CEO of Music Bet on, and it's freaking, he's awesome. It's a great episode. So go check that out, guys.
I'll also add another thing to your last thing. We are also starting a new show called Saleable. It's going to be with yours truly. This is all a part of the Wedding Film School show family. So essentially, we were...
Yeah, if you're subscribed on podcasts, you don't need to resubscribe.
Don't need to resubscribe. Just realize that you're going to start getting an episode every single week of the Wedding Film School show. So that was the intention. We just want to create more content for you guys. So doing a show in my home office.
The red sweater guy in that film, by the way, I love. Sorry.
Great. Jay, anything else that you want to say?
We're good. Have a great day, guys. Love you guys.
Thank you.